Welcome to Wealth Through History. Today we're embarking on an extensive exploration of the economic crises that shaped the world during World War II. From the drastic shifts in wartime economies to the profound long-term impacts on global financial systems, this episode will unravel the complex economic landscape of the era. Let's dive into how World War II not only reshaped nations, but also laid the foundation for the modern economic world.
Hi everyone, I'm thrilled to have you with us on Wealth Through History. In this video, we're going to delve deeply into the economic turmoil that unfolded during World War II. We'll explore the major economic challenges faced by different countries, the strategies they employed to cope, and the lasting impact these crises had on the global stage. By the end of this video, you'll have a comprehensive understanding of how the war's economic effects continue to influence us today. So let's get started. World War II, which began in 1939, was not just a conflict of military might. It was also an era of intense economic upheaval. Nations across the globe faced unprecedented economic challenges as they shifted from peacetime to wartime economies. Let's start by examining how this transition began and its immediate impacts. The initial phase of World War II saw a massive mobilization effort. Countries had to rapidly reorient their economies to support the war effort. This included ramping up the production of military goods, implementing rationing systems, and controlling prices to prevent inflation. In the United States, this transformation marked a significant departure from the Great Depression, leading to both economic growth and new challenges. In the U.S., the government implemented rationing to manage the distribution of essential goods like gasoline, sugar, and meat. These measures were designed to ensure that sufficient resources were available for the military. While rationing helped prioritize war needs, it also led to shortages and black markets, where goods were sold at inflated prices. The U.S. wartime economy was characterized by increased government spending and investment in war production. The War Production Board oversaw the conversion of factories from civilian to military production. This period saw significant advancements in technology and industrial capacity, which were crucial for the Allied victory. However, the shift also caused inflationary pressures and required careful management of economic resources. Despite these challenges, the U.S. economy experienced substantial growth during the war. Unemployment dropped significantly as millions of Americans found work in war industries. Women entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers, symbolized by the iconic figure of Rosie the Riveter. This shift not only supported the war effort, but also began to transform gender roles and expectations in American society. Across Europe, the economic impact of World War II was even more severe. Countries like Britain and Germany faced extensive economic disruptions due to the constant threat of bombing and the demands of maintaining large-scale military operations. In Britain, the Blitz, the German bombing campaign, had a devastating effect on the economy. Major cities were heavily bombed, leading to the destruction of infrastructure and housing. The British government implemented strict rationing and control measures to manage the scarcity of goods and maintain public morale. Despite these efforts, the war placed immense strain on Britain's economy. The British government introduced the Beveridge Report in 1942, which proposed a comprehensive social security system to address the needs of citizens during and after the war. This report laid the groundwork for the modern welfare state in the UK. Additionally, the British economy was supported by loans and aid from the United States, which helped to stabilize the financial situation. Lend-Lease, a program through which the U.S. supplied Allied nations with vast amounts of war material, was crucial in keeping the British economy afloat. In Germany, the economic situation was equally dire. The Nazi regime had mobilized the economy for war, leading to the exploitation of occupied territories and significant resource strain. German cities were frequently targeted by Allied bombings, which caused widespread destruction of industrial facilities and infrastructure. Under Nazi rule, the German economy was heavily focused on war production and militarization. The regime implemented a total war economy, directing resources towards military needs and maintaining control over labor and production. The constant bombing campaigns by the Allies exacerbated resource shortages and economic instability. Forced labor, including millions of prisoners of war and civilians from occupied territories, was used extensively to maintain production levels. The Soviet Union also faced severe economic challenges during the war. The Eastern Front was the site of some of the most brutal battles, resulting in widespread devastation. The Soviet government's focus on rapid industrialization and military production came at a tremendous cost to civilian infrastructure and well-being. The Soviet Union's wartime economy was characterized by a centralized approach, with the government directing resources towards the war effort. The relocation of industrial facilities from the western regions to the east helped sustain production, but the war caused immense hardship for civilians, including food shortages and displacement. The siege of Leningrad, for instance, resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of civilians due to starvation and exposure. Japan, too, experienced significant economic strain during the war. The nation had embarked on a path of aggressive military expansion in Asia, which required extensive resources. As the war progressed, Japan faced severe shortages of raw materials and food, exacerbated by Allied blockades and bombing campaigns. The Japanese government implemented stringent rationing and mobilization measures to support the war effort. Despite these efforts, the Japanese economy struggled to sustain the demands of prolonged conflict. The devastation wrought by firebombing raids and, ultimately, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki left the Japanese economy in ruins by the end of the war. By the end of World War II, Europe and Asia were left in ruins. The economic crises of the war years resulted in widespread devastation and hardship. The post-war recovery was a monumental task, leading to significant economic programs and reforms. One of the most impactful recovery efforts was the Marshall Plan, introduced by the United States in 1948. This initiative provided financial aid to war-torn European countries to support reconstruction and economic recovery. The Marshall Plan aimed to stabilize economies, prevent the spread of communism, and foster long-term economic growth. The Marshall Plan provided over $12 billion in aid, equivalent to more than $130 billion today. This assistance was crucial in rebuilding European economies, restoring industrial production, and enhancing economic stability. The plan also facilitated greater economic cooperation and integration within Europe, paving the way for the European Union. Countries that benefited from the Marshall Plan saw significant improvements in infrastructure, industrial capacity, and overall economic health. With the support of the Marshall Plan and the resilience of European nations, recovery began in earnest. The post-war period saw significant economic growth and modernization. European countries implemented new economic policies and reforms that spurred development and set the stage for a new era of prosperity. This period, often referred to as the Golden Age of capitalism, saw unprecedented economic growth and rising living standards. The post-war period also saw the creation of new international economic institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. These institutions were established to promote global economic stability and support reconstruction efforts. They played a key role in shaping the international economic system and fostering economic cooperation. The Bretton Woods Conference in 1944 laid the groundwork for these institutions, aiming to create a stable and prosperous global economy. Additionally, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, was established in 1947 to promote international trade and reduce tariffs and other trade barriers. This agreement was a precursor to the World Trade Organization, WTO, and helped to facilitate global economic growth and cooperation in the post-war era. These efforts collectively aimed to create a more interconnected and stable global economy. While Western Europe received aid from the Marshall Plan, the Soviet Union and its Eastern European allies followed a different path. The Soviet Union rejected Marshall Plan assistance and instead focused on rebuilding its economy through central planning and state control. This approach led to the establishment of the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, COMECON, in 1949, which aimed to coordinate economic activities among socialist countries. COMECON facilitated trade and economic cooperation within the Eastern Bloc, but the central planning model faced significant challenges. The Soviet economy was burdened by inefficiencies, resource misallocation, and a lack of innovation. While the Soviet Union achieved rapid industrialization, it struggled to match the economic dynamism and living standards of the Western countries. The focus on heavy industry often came at the expense of consumer goods and services, leading to shortages and a lower quality of life for citizens. As the Cold War intensified, the global economic landscape became increasingly polarized between the capitalist West and the communist East. The United States and its allies promoted free market economies and international trade, while the Soviet Union and its allies pursued central planning and state control. This division influenced economic policies and development strategies around the world. Japan and West Germany emerged as economic powerhouses in the post-war era. Japan's economy was revitalized through a combination of American aid, industrial policy, and innovation. The Japanese government played a significant role in guiding economic development, fostering key industries such as electronics and automobiles. Similarly, West Germany's Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle, was driven by a combination of Marshall Plan aid, currency reform, and a focus on rebuilding industrial capacity. Japan's Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, played a crucial role in coordinating economic policies and fostering growth. The government provided support for research and development, protected emerging industries, and facilitated technology transfer. This approach helped Japan become a global leader in high-tech industries. In West Germany, the introduction of the Deutsche Mark in 1948 and the abolition of price controls laid the foundation for economic stability and growth. The social market economy, combining free market principles with social welfare programs, created a stable environment for economic development. While the industrialized nations experienced significant growth and recovery, developing countries faced their own set of economic challenges. Many of these countries were former colonies that gained independence in the post-war period. They grappled with issues such as underdevelopment, poverty, and the need for economic modernization. Developing countries pursued various strategies to achieve economic growth and development. Some, like India, adopted a mixed economy model, combining elements of socialism and capitalism. Others, like South Korea, focused on export-oriented industrialization, leveraging international trade to drive economic growth. Foreign aid and development assistance played a crucial role in supporting these efforts, but the path to development was often fraught with challenges. As we've explored, the economic crises of World War II had profound and lasting effects on the global economy. The challenges faced during the war led to significant changes in economic policies and international relations. The recovery efforts and reforms implemented during this time laid the groundwork for the modern economic landscape we see today.
Thank you for joining us on this detailed exploration of the economic crises during World War II. We hope this video has provided you with valuable insights into how these challenges shape the world we live in. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Wealth Through History for more in-depth historical and economic analyses. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below, and stay tuned for our next video. See you next time.